Jim, let's get another question here. This one is from Rodney Esty.
Rodney, I tell you.
Hey, I come from a stupid family. During the Civil War, my great uncle, he fought for the West. All right. This is actually a hot button issue right now, so I'm curious your thoughts on this, Jim. Rodney wrote, I'm writing in to get your opinion on something that has recently bothered me a bit. I'd like your take. A very short while after the announcement of Bruno Sammartino's passing, Dave Meltzer tweeted, quote, although it has been reported everywhere, and Bruno was my friend, the stories of his 187 or 188 MSG sellouts represents yet another wrestling myth that is far from accurate. End quote. I saw lots of responses on Twitter where people felt it was perhaps the best time to tweet that statement. I think he means wasn't the best.
Not the best time. Not the best time. Well, you know, Rodney, he and John Fell hang out together. So I think Rodney's had a couple concussions now, too.
I understand Dave seems to value his role as a true journalist and bonding to that truth. It just feels like that wasn't the best time to say it, especially in a tweet by itself, not even as part of something larger. I believe Jim has mentioned on the experience that he didn't care if the statistic was true or not, or something to that effect. I agree. He was so widely beloved and respected, but was this the right time to bring it up? Or maybe are some of us just too sensitive?
Well, and actually, I didn't, let me adjudicate this, but first I will say that when I said I didn't care, it's not that I didn't care whether it was true or not. I know that the claim that Bruno made about the number of sellouts was not true. He believes it to be true because people in his day did not keep the records, and he didn't realize, I guess, he was going to sell it out all those times after he'd done it. But so it's not that I don't care. It's just that it was still a lot of times, and that wasn't the time to discuss it, which is basically what Rodney was saying. It's not something that I was going to argue with Bruno Sammartino on. When I did the interview with him, I can't even remember whether he brought up the number or whatever, but I didn't say, well, no, actually, Bruno, that's not true. I just, well, how about this time you sold out, or how about that time, and got him to tell specific stories rather than worrying about the fucking statistics, because it's fucking Bruno. Having said that, I saw what David tweeted, but thought that he had tweeted in response to someone or something who had given that statistic. And I know that Dave did think highly of Bruno, and Bruno was a guest on his program a bunch of times, and he talked to Bruno on a regular basis, called him for his birthday. So Dave was not trying to be disrespectful because they did have a relationship. I thought he was, as I said, responding to somebody else saying, no, it was 220 instead of 100 and whatever the fuck. But if he just said it out of the thin blue air, it probably wasn't the best timing. But he wasn't just saying that. He had probably read something right in front of him, and it was on his mind, and he wanted to correct the record. I don't think he was shitting on Bruno. So I think it's not necessarily too sensitive, because it might not have been I might have just let it go at that point. But he's not wrong. He didn't say anything that was disrespectful or wrong. So I don't think everybody should make a big fucking to-do about it.
I saw some reaction that was even that they didn't even think in any forum that Dave should do any myth busting, any myth correction with the number for Bruno's sellouts because it was disrespectful to Bruno. And I'm thinking, come on, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's like Hogan's book. The truth is good enough. When you get to that point where you've sold out that many places and drawn that many people and been that big a star for that long, why continue to exaggerate and make shit up? And with Bruno, he never. That's the only. I mean, Hogan was saying he was wrestling twice a day because he'd fly back from Japan and land yesterday and wrestle again, and all this time travel bullshit and just blatant, and the Metallica and just blatant falsehoods. Bruno never really he took pride in this shit, and you could tell he was proud about it, especially in later years when he would tell stories about it. But he never pumped himself up with fake bullshit. It was all shit that he'd actually done, except whatever. And it could be as simple as they tried to figure it up at one point, him and his fan club president, and came up with a fucking number. And he just said, well, I believe that. And that's when he quoted.
That's what it was.
And that's pretty much what, before anybody had done microfilm research on the newspapers and printed research books. So he got that in his head, and that became the number. And he wasn't trying to deceive anybody or he wasn't trying to worm himself into the goddamn Forbes 400 world's richest men list on fake pretenses, for heaven's sake. So leave him alone.
Yeah, either way, he's still the biggest box office draw in Madison Square Garden history for wrestling by far.
Yeah.
So I actually have that here. I recently found my copy of Georgianne Macropolis's Bruno Sammartino record book.
Oh, I saw you tweet that. And an autograph copy, by the way.
With a color photo that Georgianne got off a negative she had of Bruno versus Buddy Rogers.
I actually have you seen the Wrestling Illustrated and it's on the website. I believe it's up in the vault section where I have pictures of some of my stuff at jimcornette.com. But the Wrestling Illustrated from 1966, when they were going to do the big dream match, Bruno versus Thez, and they made a mock-up cover with that old belt and the pictures of them. Both Thez and Bruno personally autographed that to me in my presence.
Oh, man.
And I have that on the wall in my vault now.
You know, one of the big regrets in terms of, I don't really collect a lot of things, but the things I got when I was younger, I still really prize. And I've got that photo of Bruno versus Kowalski at Fenway Park. So it's outdoors. It's Bruno in the middle of the ring hitting Kowalski over the head with a chair. It's this beautiful shot. I got Bruno to sign it. I never got Kowalski to sign it. I got Kowalski to sign something else, but I didn't get that. And that always bothered me because I would have hung that one up.
Oh, you ought to hang it up anyway. What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, you only got so many walls in that 16,000 square feet.
I've got more walls than I know what to do with right now.